I am super excited to be able to make this video for you guys. I didn't think I'd actually get here, and doing it within the first 10 months is absolutely insane. So yeah, I think it just shows if you're out there and you're wanting to do something similar like this, have like a busy life and you want to put some time and effort into something else, you can definitely do it. It's just about making it happen and taking baby steps, and then it eventually all works itself out. Today I'm going to talk about how I got monetized on YouTube in the first 10 months of my YouTube journey whilst working full-time as a doctor. So let's go through it. For those of you who are not too sure, getting monetized on YouTube consists of a few different things. You need to have 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 watch hours in the last 12 months, or 10 million shorts views in the last 90 days. Those are kind of like the goalposts, and I think early on I realized I wanted to do more of like a long form content and then focus on getting your subscribers, of course, but then the long form watch hours is the main goal. From the outset, it wasn't always about this. I don't think I really had that goal in mind and didn't think I'd get to it within a year, to be honest. And I think I'd only really started to set my mindset to achieving that goal later on when I started to get a little bit more traction. It only took me 10 months, which is absolutely insane. And I thought it would take me, a few years to even get something off the ground. And for context, I have no film background. I have no video making skills or anything like that. I learned it all from scratch and I did it within 10 months, which is pretty cool. So editing, filming, all the equipment, everything like that, I just did that all myself and essentially taught myself how to do it with the help of other people, of course, but no special courses or degrees or anything like that. A lot of YouTube and a lot of help from other people. And I think that's the only thing that can help you in those situations. So that's pretty cool. I guess if we go back to the start, the main reason I think I got there in hindsight was I had a clear goal in mind, and my goal was that I was talking to myself essentially a few years back. And that's the whole, goal of this whole channel, is to essentially help someone who's in my shoes or who was in my shoes. So, if we're going to break it up into a few different sections, I want to talk about right from the start what it was like setting all this thing up and how important it is to have such a good vision and goal for the channel. Because even in those times where you're first starting out and it's like you're getting 10 views, you're getting 12 views, you're like, oh, maybe I get 56 views. Having a good focus and have the blinkers on in that stage is super, super important. Otherwise you can get thrown in the weeds and you just get all this noise put in and it can actually really upset your rhythm. So hard at that first stage, but make sure you have a good vision for your channel. And my vision for this channel, which still is the same vision, is to talk to myself a few years ago who was going through this, who had no idea and who just had all these questions that didn't really have the answers out there. So I'm answering questions for me 3 years ago, 5 years ago, sometimes even 7 years ago, and maybe even it's last year or the year before that. So I'm just talking to myself essentially, and more broadly, people in the similar position to me. Maybe they're not even doctors, maybe they're other allied health professionals who have similar sorts of questions, just figuring out how it all works. And I think that's a really good idea, is to have a really clear target audience of who you actually are talking to or educating or entertaining or whatever it is. Have a clear vision, because then anytime you have an idea for any video or any type of content, you put it on the dashboard and you think, well, would this actually benefit this person? And if it doesn't, then don't make the video. If it does, then 100% make the video. And that was really clear, early out when I was starting and figuring out what videos to make and how to do it and everything like that. And I'm still figuring out that now. And it's not like I've mastered that to an extent, but at least I'm having the intention of thinking about it. So as long as you put it against that test, that question, is it for this person? Or would it be helpful? Or would someone in those shoes actually watch that video? then you can be pretty confident that people are going to actually watch it or not watch it. So even though I had the vision that I wanted to help someone in my shoes, or who was going through medical school, who wanted to do medicine, who was already a junior doctor and trying to figure out all this stuff, I also had a alternative goal, which was, well, if no one wanted to listen to me or figure all this out, what's the worst outcome that could happen at the end of this? It would be that I'd learn all these new skills and I'd essentially level up, and it'd be really, really cool how to do all this stuff. I would learn how to edit, I'd learn how to film, I would learn how to, you know, use social media in that different sense that's not all about you, it's about marketing, and it's about, you know, positioning and thumbnails and descriptions and copywriting and all these like different skills you're learning and will have had already, even if no one wants to listen to it. So the worst case scenario, which I was always super keen on, was essentially just learning a new skill and leveling up from that. That was the worst thing that could happen. So I wasn't really too fussed about like if it didn't all work out. And it still is sort of on the cusp of working out. I'm not too sure. I'm just keep on doing the same thing and see what happens. So let's get into the nitty gritty. I want to show you guys how long it actually took for my channel to start seeing some sort of growth. Let's bring it up on the YouTube analytics page. And for those of you who don't have YouTube or don't have like YouTube accounts or have never even seen this sort of thing, when you start your own YouTube channel, you have a YouTube studio, which is essentially your analytics, your data, all that stuff is just centered in that platform. And it's a subset on the YouTube platform. It's also an app, and you can, you know, get really into the weeds of all this data and all this analytics. But let's show you on my page what I see and sort of the numbers that I sort of started seeing. All right, so let's go through this. This is my like homepage that I see on the YouTube studio, and essentially it just has like your latest video, your like channel analytics, and some of the information about like your recently published videos. So yeah, that's pretty much it. We'll go to the analytics side and we can deep dive into that. So let's just change this to essentially go lifetime, and then we can look at all the basic things. So, I mean, this is since I started this whole thing. So my first video was on my birthday. That's when I like released my first video. That's on the 26th of July. And essentially that was sort of, yeah, the goal. I was like, all right, we'll start on my B-day and we'll see what happens and go from there. And since that time, so up until the date that I'm recording now, which is on the 15th of June, and we've had a little over 80,000 views. We've had almost 5,000 watch hours. We've got about, well, 1.6K subscribers. And yeah, as you can see, we made like 54 bucks, which is pretty cool. I mean, I didn't think I'd ever see this sort of thing. And I mean, early on, yeah, let's just change this a little bit. Let's go monthly for like the watch hours. All right, so you can sort of see what we are working with here. These are the views each month that we got in our sort of videos, and we can essentially go through that. So you can see when we started out in July. Let's see what the numbers were in July. This is a better representation of how the channel was sort of going. I've got it set up so we've got the views, and it goes through each month to show us how we're going in terms of our views. And yeah, like you can see, like in the whole of July last year, I only got 131 views. That was the first month that I was sort of posting on YouTube. And admittedly, I think I only posted like one video or maybe one or two videos, I can't remember. I started off posting a couple of shorts. But it didn't take, like it took like a little bit, to be honest, to sort of get the wheels moving. August, I had 570 views. September, 240. Like October, 500. Like it didn't really start to like move. Like the channel didn't really start to move until about December. So what's that? That's almost like what? July, August, September, October, November. That's almost like 6 months. You know, admittedly, like I started posting towards the end of July. So it's just a little under 6 months before we actually started to see some traction. And I guess if you're not willing to put in like at least 6 months to see something, then maybe you need to like reconsider like what your intentions are with starting something like this, because it actually does take some time to get going. And then after that, we actually started to see some good traction. January, we had about 8.7K views, similar in Feb, a little bit more in May and April, when it first started to sort of like, when it really started to motor. And then in May, we had a really good month with the views. And at the moment we're in June. So we're still getting there. It's like early June-ish. We've still got a bit of time to get up the views for this month. But yeah, if we go to the watch hours, like we look back, like I had 6 watch hours in July. It didn't really take off until like December, as I said, where we had our first 100-hour month in terms of watch hours. And yeah, like you got all these stats here. It's pretty cool. You can just see it took like the main point I'm showing you with this is that it takes a little bit until you actually get your legs off the ground and start moving with this sort of YouTube stuff. So yeah, this is just my experience so far. And then yeah, as you can see, once it starts to get moving, it's almost like a snowballing effect, and it keeps on going up if you keep doing what you're doing and keep doing it the right way. Obviously, it's not like this for everyone, but if you keep doing what you're doing, keep focusing and keep wanting to improve, I think it will hopefully keep going up like this. And yeah, I think let's go to the subscribers. So I'll show you when I hit my first 1,000 subscribers. When I actually got monetized was on the 20th of May. That's when I was first eligible. So it's essentially a little under 10 months. Yeah, just a little under 10 months, because my first video was July 26th. So that's pretty cool. But when did I hit my 1,000 subscribers? It was actually a little bit earlier. I actually don't know how to figure this information out. Yeah, the rate limiting step for all this was essentially the watch hours. I had my first 1,000 subscribers sooner than I had my watch hours. So I was just really trying to get the watch hours up in the last little bit when I saw it was actually on. And yeah, that's pretty cool. So there you go. I just wanted to show you like really briefly what it sort of like looked like in terms of the progression and how long it took before I actually started to see some sort of traction, and yeah, go from there. So I guess like we've spoken about like the goals that I had for the channel and why that was so important into making sure I got off on the right foot. I guess one of the main things is that I still had to work as like a doctor for like my job. I still had to like do that full time, and it was kind of tricky figuring out all this at the start and making sure I was still putting enough time into work as I was with all this other stuff that with the YouTube and everything that I was super keen on pursuing. And it takes time to learn skills. It takes time to film, to make mistakes, to edit a full video, or to shoot a full video and realize it's not even in focus, or to shoot a whole video and then watch it back and try to edit and you're like, I have no idea what I'm even saying in this video, like it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So going through all those and trying to maintain like a consistent upload schedule, which was the main thing that I wanted to do. I set myself a goal at the start of trying to make 100 videos by this time next year. So we're still not at that stage. And I think currently I've only got 73 videos or so. Yeah, 74 videos. Yeah, so that was the goal. And essentially, if we, 52 weeks in a year, if we make 2 videos a week, I'd hit that goal of 100, plus or minus a couple of videos here and there. And that was my initial goal. And I had tried to stick to that right from day one, which was very, very challenging. And I don't think I could have stuck to that at the start. So I set myself a goal, 2 videos per week. I dropped it back at some stages to 1 video a week, and it was just trying to like work it out with doing work and everything. So I had my ex-partner at the time who was already like into film and media and everything like that. And she really helped me get all this stuff sorted and helped me film and shoot and edit a few of my first videos. So I was super, super handy to have her in my corner and actually helping me figure out all this stuff as well. And then essentially I would edit these videos by myself and get feedback from her and essentially work out what to do and how to do this cut and how to do this little technique or how to add text or music or whatever it was, and try to do all these different things. And yeah, it's tricky. I'm not gonna lie. Like some days you're like, oh, I don't know if I can, get a video out this week or whatever. So I've got all this stuff to do at work, or I've got other stuff I want to do. And yeah, it's tricky trying to work it all out, but you make it work, because at the end of the day, you're doing it because you want to do it and because you're invested into it, and it's essentially your passion, your hobby. So you make it work whether you want it to or not. So yeah, I think it took a few months in to realize that I don't think I could film, edit, and do everything for 2 videos per week whilst doing my, full-time job and essentially, trying to fit life into that as well. Otherwise it would get a bit chaotic and I'd get a bit burnt out. And yeah, I made the decision at the start of this year that I wanted to bring on like an editor and really help, at least take off half the load. So I would edit one video and then they would edit another video. And that actually has started to work really well. And I thought for a long time, well, is it worth it? Does it make, financial sense? Does it actually what am I doing? Am I being lazy, or am I actually being smarter with my time? And I leant to the latter. It took a while to come to this decision that I wanted and needed someone else to actually help, move it along. And I think that's almost a rate limiting step for people, and it's almost limiting their growth, because if you don't, invite people in and let them help you, then it's hard for you to grow at a faster rate. And my whole aim with this thing was to, I've got a bigger vision. So it's like, if I'm investing time and money into this whole thing, that's beneficial to the thing itself. So I was more focused on that, and I viewed it as a hobby. So if I wanted to spend money on a sport that I was interested in, or going to travel or whatever, I viewed this YouTube thing in the same way. So if I was investing time into this, that would be like me going on a trip or going on a holiday or something like that. So yeah, this became a hobby that I was investing time and money into. And I think hiring an editor was probably the best decision that I ever made. I think it was about 7 or 8 months into the whole journey. And that was really a tipping point for being able to have growth and have time on my hands and actually take a lot of pressure off my shoulders. So I wasn't stressing about getting a few videos out this week. And although I wanted to keep the numbers up, I could still, hit the goals of, those 2 videos per week or so, whilst not getting burnt out. And I was like, my runway for this is so much longer than a 12-month or 6 months or 5-month runway. I have years. My runway is in years, not in terms of months or weeks. So I want to do something that's sustainable and set up something that's sustainable for the future. So getting people involved, getting people on board to help you is probably the best decision that you should make. If I look back at it, the really cool thing is that I managed to learn all these skills, and I'm still learning to this day, how to edit, how to film, how to shoot, how to learn all these sort of things. You just have to rock up consistently and have the intention of getting better each day or each week or however often you do it. Doing that for a consistent period of time and prolonging that for 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, the growth is honestly exponential. And it's really, really cool to look back at where it was through all the analytics on the graph and everything, and then compare it to now. And the goalposts keep shifting. So you're constantly wanting to improve and improve and improve. And I think that's the best thing about this whole journey. You're continually wanting to improve and get better and try to one up yourself. And it's not in the sense that you think what you did was bad and you want it to be better. It's that you appreciate what you did and you're like, well, what can I take from that and how can I enhance it the next time that I do it? And that's a really cool thing and like a real growth sort of mindset. But if I had like any advice for someone who's wanting to do something similar, I guess the main points that I would focus on is really getting down to the nitty gritty as to why you're doing it and who you're doing it for. And who you're doing it for is of course yourself, but the real question is, what's your target audience, or who's that person that you're trying to speak to? And when you have both your goal and your, reasoning for doing this whole thing and the person who you're communicating with, then you have such like a good synergy, and I don't think you can go wrong with that sort of situation. I mean, when you have an idea, you put it to those tests and you say, well, does it fit in with my vision, and would it be beneficial to the person or people that I'm speaking to? And if that holds up for both, then you're sort of on a winner. And I think even if it sees 100 views in the first month or first 6 months or first 12 months, I mean, that will just go up over time, because if you deliver a good piece of content that's valuable to those people, I mean, it's going to be valuable. People are going to want to watch valuable stuff. So don't doubt yourself and just have like some faith in that sort of whole process. So having those two ideas so clear to you is one of the main things that can really like cement your growth and really stop distractors from getting in and discouraging you or making you sort of, waver in terms of what you want to do and how you want to do it, and, eliminate all that self-doubt, to be honest. So get those set up and then sort of start to allocate a reasonable schedule that you think you'd be able to stick to. So, because I think consistency is one of the major factors which cements your growth on this platform. And whether it be one video a month or 2 videos a month or whatever it is, I mean, set yourself a target, and it's just easier to work towards something if you have a target. Even if it's like some wild like target, if you say, all right, I want to do 200 videos in the first year and I want to gain 25,000 subscribers, that may actually not be impossible, by the way. But say you think it's absolutely out of this world and you don't think you'd be able to reach it. That's a good goal, because if you get half of that goal, you get 12,500 subscribers and 100 videos. That's an insane achievement. So having a goal that you don't accomplish, have the intention of and try to do it as best as you can, coming short of that goal is actually like so much better than not having a goal and just giving up and not doing it and just abandoning the whole thing. Because I mean, you've already done so much with that goal in mind. So I think those two things, you can't go wrong. And yeah, you'd just be set up for a winner. But I mean, and coming from me, who I actually had no experience in any of these things. I didn't even know what Final Cut Pro was. I didn't know how to edit. I didn't know what all these things were, how to turn on a camera, how to like put in an SD card into your computer, like all these things, crazy. But you learn it, you start messy, you start producing content, your skill just exponentially increases over time. Yeah, and I'm just putting out videos that I think people that I'm talking to would want to watch. And that person that I'm talking to is me 5 years ago. And that's the easiest way to think about it, because I know if I had that question 3 years ago, then probably someone else similar to me 3 years ago was having that question or is having that question right now. So that's a really cool thing. So yeah, as long as your finger is on the pulse, you can't go wrong and it'll all work out. And whether it takes you 12 months or more or 2 years or 3 years, don't worry about it, but just have your mindset switched on. That's just a real open and honest reveal about how I went over these first 12 months. It hasn't even been 12 months, it's been less than 10 months. But yeah, I got monetized in 10 months. Yeah, just under 10 months whilst I was doing my full-time job as a doctor, rocking up to work, doing all this thing, doing overtime, doing weekend shifts, just making it work. So it's definitely possible. Have some systems in place and you can get it done. And if you have a whole bunch of more questions, which you probably do, I'd be more than happy to answer them. But yeah, there you go. So I'll see you guys next time. I don't know what else to say, but good luck if you want to do something like that. Otherwise, that's my stuff. Bye.